Hey everyone, I hope you're excited and happy to do some maths today. So we are going to do functions today. So I'm going to divide this question into two parts. So there's a couple of questions. So we're just going to look at like three questions for this video, which is 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. So let's get to it, guys. Let's see how interesting these questions can be. Let's see. Okay, so get the pen, red, black. Let me use black today. So, so this we are given a functions here. We have a straight line graph G, and then we have a parabola F. There's I see there's a line here that has been put. Maybe it's going to be part of the coming questions. So here the question reads: the graphs of f of x is equal to x da da da, and g of x is equal to that. That's a straight line. So g is a straight line, and then f of x is a parabola. So 7.1, they're saying determine the values of x for which f of x is equal to 0. So if you have gone through your notes, you should know that when they tell you about f of x equal to 0, basically they are asking you for the x-intercepts. They are asking you for the x-intercepts. That's just another way of asking you to find the x-intercepts. So to find the x-intercepts, that's going to be very easy because we're just going to take f of x and equate it to 0. And what is our f of x? F of x is given by the function here. So meaning that f of x is going to be x into x plus 3. This is still f of x. This is equal to 0. So now you have something familiar. What are we going to do? We have to solve for x. This is even already done for us because this is like factorized already. So you just take x, we equate it to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0, which would then mean that x is equal to minus 3 when you take 3 on the other side of the equation. So these are your x-intercepts. You have x equal to 0 and you have x equal to minus 3. That's it. You're done. 2 marks. That's 2 marks for you here. I'm sure you guys would have gotten this one so easily, né? So let's move on to the next question. 7.2 says that calculate the coordinates of P, the turning point of F. So they want us to find this here, the turning point of F, which is the turning point of the parabola. So I'll need some more space in this case because we'll do something interesting. So I'll introduce you guys to what's this? A method of completing the square, which is a method I prefer to use to solve this question. So in 7.2, they just want us to find the turning point, right? That is the x coordinate and the y coordinate of the turning point. So you would know, or maybe some of you haven't done this as yet, but the formula of a parabola, if we have an f of x, for example, this is given by, it can be given by this a x minus p squared plus q. Some books, they might use different letters, but so, yeah. So you'd have your a, your q, and your p. So the reason I prefer to do it this way is because from here, you are able to see that, so the turning point will always be given by your P and Q. You'll notice that the P will have the opposite sign here. So it means that when we have f of x, just like in our case now here, where f of x is equal to x into x plus 3. No, no, no. I almost put a square there. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this would then be equal to f of x would be then equal to um it will be equal to x squared plus 3x, right? So I'm interested in this part here. So now that we have this, how do we get it in this form? How do we get it in that form? So we are going to complete the square. We are going to do what they call completing the square. Complete the square. So to complete the square, let me just get more space. To complete the square, are you ready for the trick, guys? Complete the square, this is how we do it. So if you have x squared, right, plus 3x, what you do is you do this. Let's just do it already. What you do is you open your brackets, right? You look at what's the sign. This sign is positive, so we'll have a positive sign. And then you take this coefficient of x, you divide it by 2, right? After dividing it by 2, you put it inside brackets, and then you put a square here, right? So what you have essentially done is you have added you basically added a 3 over 2 squared. This is what you have added basically to the equation. And because you have added this, you will need to subtract it again. You will need to subtract this again. So that equates to just having added a 0. So what we will do then is, let me remove this. Let me just remove what I did here. I was just doing this for explanation. So that's basically what we're going to do. We are going to add and remove or subtract 3 over 2 squared. So now that I said we have added it by doing this, now we'll have to subtract 3 over 2 squared, right? So that's it. So now to simplify this, we have x plus 3 over 2 squared minus, what's the squared? This will give us 9 over 4. So if you look at this now, we have our equation in this form where a is equal to 1. It's the coefficient of this whole bracket is 1. A is 1 basically. So basically now we have our turning point being P and Q. And what is our P? Our P in this case will be 3 over 2, but you will have what? An opposite sign. So it's going to be minus 3 over 2. And then the y coordinate, which is Q, will be minus 9 over 4 because we just take it as it is here. So these guys are our coordinates for the turning point. That's it. You get your, how many marks was this? That was 5 marks. You get your 5 marks. Do you see how easy that was? Just by knowing how to complete the square. If you are doubting this or if you've never seen this method of completing the square, you can just check this. If you expand these brackets, you'll notice that you get back to this f of x that we had here. So this was equal to f of x, guys. So this was equal to f of x. So there we are. We have our turning point there. We are done. You got your 5 marks. That was easy, right? So we move on to the last question for this video. The last question says, determine the average gradient of the curve f between x is equal to -5 and x is equal to -3. So they want the gradient of the curve of which graph? F, which is the parabola. And already they've given you the x values for which they want the gradient for, which means what do you have to find? I'm sure someone said it in their head already. You have to find the y values for each x point. So let's go ahead. We have x equal to 3 and we have x equal to 5. -5 actually. It's -3 and -5. Okay. So if you go to, okay, let's get to it. So that's gonna be 7.3. So 7.3, guys, will be okay. So what we'll do is we have our f of x is this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take f of x and we're going to use it to find our f of -5, because f of -5 gives us the y value where x is equal to -5. So this is going to be equal to -5, and I want to write x again, sorry. It's -5, and then open bracket, then -5, then +3. So if you add -5 to 3, you get -2. You'll get -2. So -2 times -5, that gives you +10. So that's the y value, right? And then you move on to find f of -3. So f of -3 is going to be -3, open bracket, -3 plus 3. So this is going to give us 0. So the whole thing is going to be 0, because if you multiply any number by 0, you get 0. So this is f of 3 is going to be 0. So now you have found your y values. So how do we find gradient, guys? The question wants the gradient between this curve where these values of x are given like this. So the formula for gradient, normally given by m, is equal to, it's changing y over changing x values. So here, what is our y? Y values are these ones. So you have f of -5 minus f of -3. These will be divided by -5 minus -3. Then we have, what do we have? We have 10 minus 0 divided by, what is -5 plus 3? That's -2. So let me just take it up and do it. So you'll have 10 divided by -2, which is going to give you -5. So that's the gradient. And then you've gotten your, how many marks was this? How many marks is this? That's 3 marks, okay. Yeah, and you get your 3 marks, guys. That's it, we're done. So we have come to the end of this part of the video, the first part of this question. I will do part 2. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you didn't understand the part of completing the square, you can let me know in the comment section, and I can maybe create a short video explaining how to complete the square. So from me, that's it for today, guys. Thank you.